Good afternoon and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. Celtic had a dominant performance against a very, very poor Dundee United side. Dundee United nil. That was Celtic 4, Dundee United nil. Goals by Yang. And absolutely fantastic goal by Yang. He's the player that is. It was a team game this afternoon. Arne Engels scored. He scored a cracking goal. He scored the goal that Rio Hatate should have ultimately have scored. But when you see the way that Celtic played today, they played as a team. They played as a squad of players that knew what they were meant to be doing. They knew what the manager wanted them to do. And ultimately, yes, Dundee United's formation. They set up 3-4-3. They then went to a back five, back six, back seven at times. Ultimately, Celtic controlled the game. Celtic controlled the narrative of the football today. Celtic at times were unplayable against Dundee United. People will say it was Dundee United were shite. It was Celtic just didn't even get out of first gear. When you look at it, Callum McGregor wasn't getting man-marked. When you look at the pace that players were passing the ball for Celtic, everything was going through Tierney the first half. Tierney was phenomenal. Tierney's seen out another full game at Celtic. I think that he's only getting better. The right back that came in from Mexico, the other full-time results, actually, it was Hibs 1, Motherwell 1, Livingston 1, Kilmarnock 1, St Mirren 0, Falkirk 2. Wow, that's a big result. That sees Kilmarnock in 18 points, which is a bit thingy for them, isn't it? But anyway, who cares about the rest of the results in Scottish football? Yang being man of the match was phenomenal. Yang, he's not perfect. He's not up there with Jota when Jota was in full flow in his season. But I tell you one thing, there's been two things of significance that have happened this season. The first one was Michael Nicholson failing to pick up the phone to his counterpart at Birmingham City, and the Yang deal then falling apart. When Yang returned to Celtic, everyone thought, including myself, I thought that, Yang was a player that wanted away. We're going to be stuck with him. Brendan Rodgers says there's a player in there. A few people believed it slightly. For me, he never done enough. Brendan Rodgers laughed about the fact that, get his missus over from South Korea and happy days. Bob's your uncle, and we've got a player there. Wilfred Nancy actually made more sense for Yang than anybody else. Under Wilfred Nancy, Yang kind of came out of his shell a bit. He was fantastic last weekend. He was brilliant today again. And I think that he still does a couple of years left on his contract at Celtic. We are in no need to sell him now. I think he is a player that can only get better. And how long does he have on his transfer? On the transfer market, he's contracted until Celtic until the end of May, the 31st. He's in contract until 2028. We don't have to sell Yang. Yang doesn't have to go anywhere. He's happy enough at Celtic just now. On the other hand, let's talk about Daizen Maeda. Daizen Maeda scored a goal today. There was absolutely no celebration from Daizen Maeda. It was the exact same as Kyogo Furiashi when Kyogo was at Celtic and wanted away. Today, the way that Daizen Maeda played shows me that he has one eye on an exit from Celtic. Martin O'Neill said that he would update us on Friday. He didn't, which to me says that Daizen Maeda and his agent have told Celtic that they still believe that he will leave this window. Hence the reason that I think that Martin O'Neill would not have even entertained questions on Daizen Maeda. Because the last thing that you want to do as a manager is come out and irritate the fans and put fans on the back of players. Even though Daizen Maeda maybe has said that he wants away, Martin O'Neill's too long in the tooth to know that if I come out and I tell the fans the boys put in a transfer request, he will be put under pressure, and he doesn't want his players to be put under pressure, does Martin O'Neill. Martin O'Neill played with the back four today, and you've got to say Wilfred Nancy did another thing when he was at Celtic, brought in a little Mexican. Yep, and I've got to say, what an upgrade on Tony Ralston. Tony Ralston will now struggle to get game time between now and the end of the season. Bringing in this little guy from Mexico with his American accent, make sure that we do not have to rush back Alistair Johnston. There is absolutely no need for us to rush back Alistair Johnston. We looked as if we'd been playing with this settled team for weeks and weeks and weeks, when the reality is we know that the managers came in and he's managed to turn that around. Tenecti, we have missed Tenecti so much. A lot of people were saying that Tenecti just isn't Celtic standard. Well, today, Tenecti was the one that kept on taking on players. If Tenecti starts linking up with Kieran Tierney on that side, and then, rather than Tierney giving the ball to Tenecti, Tierney then doing the overlap, but Tenecti not giving the ball to Tierney, deciding then to come inside and take on players himself, I'm not going to complain about it. It's a player that's full of confidence, and it's a player that wants to show off at the highest level. But it's a team game at Celtic. And if you want to become a real legend at Celtic, which I think that Tenecti can do, I think that Yang, and what a turnaround in Yang's career. And if you can get this little Mexican, I think that Jan Galdo is our next 20 million superstar. I wouldn't go on to say as much as that, but when you look at when Daizen Maeda went off, we brought on Johnny Kenny. Johnny Kenny was offside for his attempt at goal, his glaring one. The keeper made a good save. Johnny Kenny could have flipped it over if it went in. Would it have given Johnny Kenny a bit of confidence? Johnny Kenny then puts another one into the side of the net. There was so much good to come out of Celtic's play today. Now, people will say that Dundee were, well, there's a comment there, Dundee were pathetic. They didn't even bother. A lot of that's down to the way that Celtic played. When you attack on the front foot, when you put pressure on the players in defence, when you're pushing up and making sure that the other team can't get out, and when you're on fire the way that Celtic were, there was no two or three. All that was good today was players did what they were told. Don't take too long on the ball. One touch pass. When we play bad, is when players like Scales, like Callum McGregor, like Rio Hatate take far too many touches on the ball. Julian Araujo is a fantastic addition to the squad. It puts us in a fine position. It does put us in a fine position, considering you see that the fact that we won 4-0. Give me your thoughts on the game. We'll try and get as many comments as we can in the next 25 minutes or so. Yang was underrated, hardly played, always slated. Yes, this is very true. He was very underrated. Ange would have loved Araujo a bit. Yeah, he would have fitted his style of play. Last week versus Jazz, we still had 60% possession. Yeah. United were pissed last time we played them. United were pissed the last time we played them. They beat us. Exactly. They beat us 2-1. When you look at the substitutions that came on, Colby Donovan came on in the second half. I thought that this is what Colby Donovan's here for. To learn his trade. To come on 20 minutes into a game where we're winning. So it breeds that confidence into the player. People saying that Colby Donovan's not the answer. I think that given time, Colby Donovan could be a fantastic player for Celtic. But he needs to be given time and brought in the right kind of situation. There's no use bringing him in when we're getting beat week in, week out because we've no other players. You see that when he came into the team today, he was full of confidence. There was no shying away. He kept the game. There was not much difference when he came onto the pitch. When you look at the previous score lines on the 17th of December, we got beat 2-1 by them. You got to go back to April when we won 5-0. February, we beat them 3-0. And the 8th of January, a year and 2 days ago, we only beat them 2-0 at Celtic Park under Brendan Rodgers. Martin O'Neill has other things in mind. Beating them 4-0, whilst not only does it look good and it gives us the motivation and it gets people believing in the team again. Yes, people will complain that there was no Green Brigade at the game today, and there's a lot of other things that you could say need to happen at Celtic, but let's take the positives. The positives where the manager managed to make changes in the 70th minute when we were winning 3-0, which was fantastic. Gives game time to Johnny Kenny, gives game time to James Forrest, Luke McCown, Benji Negrin, young Donovan comes on. That's good man management. That's not a manager making changes because he wants everyone to feel good. Not just the players that started the game today. He wants every single player to have played their part in the game today if they can, so that they all go home tonight and they all have that thank fuck. We won a game. We're confident. They come into work on Monday morning with a smile on their faces and they're ready to go once again. And I think that Martin O'Neill, no matter what he does at Celtic Football Club between now and the end of the season, whether he wins a double, whether he takes us on a fantastic run in Europe, there's one thing for sure, that the legacy of Martin O'Neill is and will just only get better as this season goes on. In fact, it was only 2-0 at half-time. Celtic went on to win 4-0. When you look at the games that are coming up, the fixture list hasn't been kind to Martin O'Neill, just like it wasn't kind to the previous manager. On Wednesday, we go away to Falkirk. Falkirk, who beat St Mirren. Yes, Falkirk beat St Mirren today away from home. They will be buoyed with the fact that they won that game. They will be thinking, come on, give us some. Give it. You want some? I give it to you. That's what Falkirk will be doing. And then we play Auchinleck Talbot next weekend, 8 days from now on the Sunday. It's been a massive week at Celtic Football Club. Absolutely massive week when you look at the games that are coming up. Martin O'Neill will face Falkirk Wednesday evening. Doesn't give us a lot of time. Martin O'Neill will say, well, that's why we made the changes today, so that, you know, players won't have to play the full 90 minutes. Auchinleck will take care of itself. At Kilmarnock Stadium, 9,000 Celtic fans. 9,000 Celtic fans in attendance for that one. And then there's the one that we're really going to look to. And can Martin O'Neill do anything against Bologna? Because that is the game that ultimately Celtic, as fans, we're all worried about. Because let's face it, they are a club of a fantastic record. Why is it doing that? Jesus, I'm all over the place here. Get it back onto that, on the wrong page. The Bologna game, I think that Martin O'Neill will know the difficulties in that game. They're not having the best of seasons in the Europa, but when it comes to it, Bologna are no daft wee team. You know, I put Bologna up there with the Michelin game. I think that would be just as hard as the Michelin game. Can Celtic ultimately do anything against them in Italy? Their league positions, they're 8th in their league in Italy, which says that they're maybe not having a great season. But when you look at the teams that are above them, Como are sitting in 6th position, Juventus, Roma, Napoli, Milan and Inter. It's not wee silly teams that are above them, is it? Italian football may not be what it was, but I'll tell you one thing. When it comes to Europe, Celtic are not where they are used to being. Celtic in Europe over the years have been woeful. Absolutely woeful. We've went through high-level manager after high-level manager, bringing in Brendan Rodgers, bringing in Ange Postecoglou. None of them could do it. The fact that Bologna have only drawn 2 games and they've won the rest of their games out of the 5 that I'm seeing, you know, they're doing way better than us in Europe. They're in 13th position. Celtic are sitting in 24th position. We get beat against Bologna, that it takes us out of the top 24. It then means that we need to win our last game at home against Utrecht to try and get back into the top 24. If we can gain 1 point, it would keep us within the top 23. If we can do the unbelievable and win against Bologna, if Martin O'Neill can win against Bologna, it would be one of the results of his career. The fact that they're sitting on 11 points would put us up in 10. It would put us into the higher end. And I tell you one thing, at that point, you'd then be thinking, let's go for it. Can we win the remaining 2 games? Can we get automatic qualification? Would 13 points be enough to keep you in the top 8? 8th position in the Europa League is Porto on 13 points, then Braga on 13 points, and then you go right up to the top of the table with Lyon, Midtjylland, Aston Villa all on 15 points. Getting ahead of ourselves talking about Europe, but it is what is coming up for the Celtic manager over the next week or so. Big games need big players. Big players need big managers. Martin O'Neill is that big manager. He's a manager that not only knows how to get Celtic playing at the highest level, but knows how to win games. Wee Jamesy was shite when he came on, bless him. I think he'd been listening to the tactics board of Wilfred Nancy too much. The 3 at the back experiment wasn't just a disaster for the defence, it ran through the whole team. I think that if we had the players that were of a better standard playing the back 3 at Celtic, should always be an option. But when you've got Kieran Tierney going up the wing, when you had the young Mexican going up the wing also, and then Donovan cutting inside, the back 4 is more suited to Celtic. It will be required in Europe. We'll definitely need to play the back 4. Mark says he enjoyed watching the game today. Good, solid performance. Dundee probably should have had 2. Can't see how they got much space. Yeah. Was Yang underrated? A couple of good games. Everyone thinks he's a world beater. I don't think he's a world beater. Just annoying that Julian's on loan. Like Sriracha, 2 good players. Would like to have kept or an option to buy. Well, the Sriracha one, I've been reading that the Sriracha one, we might have to make an offer for him this window. If not, we will definitely lose him. We could even lose him this window, which is hard to think. We are a decent striker away from battering teams. Yes, we are that. They gave it them all their day. Yes, they did. Celtic, every single Celtic player gave their all. And I don't think that if you're going to pick on anyone today, ultimately you're going to look at maybe Hatate for the open goal that he should have hit. Benji Negrin comes on, hits it in the back of the net from a similar position. When you look at Rio Hatate, he should have buried that one. Rio is the weak point in the midfield, I think. Who's an ideal striker for Celtic? Depends on the budget. Do we go out and spend $6.5 million on a player? Doesn't look like it, considering we just tried to get Kyogo on loan till the end of the season. Tells me that Celtic are not going to go out and spend big money on a striker, which is a bit disappointing, because maybe the striker that we want, we can't get a hold of. You never know. It's starting to get a bit dark. Let's put some light on the situation. Disco lights on. Good result. Our defence wasn't tested. They worried me at the back, says Jim. I'm not too worried about the defence, because Celtic have always been a team that you defend from the front. If you defend from the... Martin O'Neill's team always defended from the front. Put pressure on their defence. Put pressure on their midfield players. Don't let them play forward. The defence wasn't under pressure. Austin Trusty and Liam Scales spent the majority of the half, the majority of the game in the Dundee United half. If that's not putting pressure on them, and then it's a case of what is, you know. So anyway, Um, we should sell Ralston as they've been the weakest of the right backs that we've got. We need to bring in another Scottish player if we do sell Ralston. I hope keep hold of him. He's excellent backup to Alistair Johnson. I think he's. Can you imagine having a Canadian and a Mexican as backup to for on the team for Celtic? It would be phenomenal. Uncle Crow's feet CSC. Yeah, he disappeared quickly. I think I ended up banning him, did I not? He's away for a bath with his toaster plugged in. Which striker do we fancy? No idea. Strikers, it's going to come down to money. It's not. It's not who we fancy. Do you know? That's the probably the most and worst way to look at it. It will all come down to who Celtic can afford. Big ups, focused on them all, but yep, that's it. Do you know, getting all the players on, that's why Martin O'Neill would have done it. He knows that we've got a game on Wednesday. Get everyone on, get everyone feeling that positivity. Fans go home with a smile on their face. Yang's maybe had it again, and it's happy days as far as Celtic are concerned. Well played. We would have lost that under Nancy. Yes, we would that. We've got Donovan. Yep, Donovan's a fan. Donovan got played today the way that I expect Donovan to come on. I do not expect Donovan to start games from the start. He's a young player that needs to be brought on, and Martin O'Neill knows this. Bring him on. If you're 3-0 up, you bring the young boys on. Martin O'Neill did it with Sean Maloney as a player. You know, he knows how to bring these young players on. Martin O'Neill could possibly be the best thing that's ever happened to Celtic in the last 20 years. And 25 years later, we've got a lot to thank him for, because right now, the table does not lie. We are second place in the table, and yes, there are games in the SPFL tomorrow. We don't want to concern ourselves about that, because we just need to keep on doing what we're doing right now. And if we keep on winning games 3-4-0, there's one thing for sure. We will drag ourselves back into the title race. With Hearts just a few games away at the end of this month, it could be all to play for, and Celtic could be back with a bang. And on that note, I think it's been a fantastic day. I think that Martin O'Neill can do no wrong in the eyes of some Celtic fans. Yes, the Celtic board definitely need to back Martin O'Neill, and definitely need to get some players in, so that ultimately, the reason my face is all red, by the way, because the sun's going down and the sky's all red. Put lights on. But ultimately, the board need to get some players in. If teams don't want to sell, how come the Zombies just spent 7 million on 2 players? It's maybe the type of players that they're going for. Maybe they're paying over the odds. Anyway, we can't sell Yang. He's an integral part of the team. Yes, he is that. Sort these levels. Jim says, never said we were under pressure bad. The point was we're making and never got tested at the back. What does defending from the front mean, mate? It means defending from the front. Like I said, you know, Trusty and Scales were in the Dundee United half most of the match, which means that we're pressurising Dundee United. Anyway, we won. Yang's turning into a really good player for us. Yep, he is that. Hibs and Motherwell drawn. It was an added bonus. Yes, it was that. Yang will get sold this window. I really hope not. Will Yang get sold? I hope not. Anyway, that's me done and dusted for this evening. I shall see you back tomorrow morning. On that note, have an absolutely fantastic evening, Celtic fans. Celtic 4, Dundee United 0. The sun's going down. It's a beautiful red sky. Absolutely fantastic. What a better way to end the day.